see so many commanders, first sergeants, supervisors, loved ones, and friends of the graduates of this class. And class, I believe they deserve a round of applause from you. You know, it seems every day around our Air Force, history is being made in this time of newfound freedom. And today we are part of that history, as this is the last class to graduate from the NCO preparatory course here at Comiso. It's appropriate, therefore, that we have as our guest speaker today the person who has provided the guidance and leadership that has made the 487th Tactical Missile Wing this history-making organization that it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Olsen is originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I promised him I would keep this short, but I have to start in 1966 because he graduated in 1966 from the United States Air Force Academy. He has served in our Air Force in a number of rather interesting and diverse assignments, and I'll mention just a few. In 1967, the Colonel was flying C-7As out of Cameron Bay in Vietnam. In 69, he served as the flight commander for Preferred Fire Operations, flying O-2As out of Nakhon Phanom Royal Thai Air Force Base in Thailand. You see, the Colonel is a command pilot with more than 4,000 flying hours in T-38s, F-106s, F-4s, and F-15s. And he served as an instructor pilot, a flight commander, and assistant director of operations, and the director of operations, as well as the commander of 2 different flying squadrons. In 1978, the Colonel attended the United States Army Command and General Staff Course, where he also received a master's degree in military science. And then in 86, he attended the Royal College of Defense Studies in London. Colonel Olsen has served at various headquarters levels, and again, I'll just mention a few. Headquarters, U.S. Air Force in Washington, D.C. Headquarters, Air Defense Tactical Air Command, Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. Headquarters, Allied Forces Central Europe in Brunswick, the Netherlands. And Supreme Headquarters, Allied Powers Europe in Mons, Belgium. The Colonel's military decorations include the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and the Air Medal with 12 Oak Leaf clusters. Colonel and Mrs. Olsen have 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce this very distinguished senior officer leader, commander of the Fighting 487th Tactical Fighter Wing, Missile Wing, Colonel Clay Olsen.
The slip-up Tactical Fighter Wing. I'm mighty proud to be commander of Tactical Missile Wing, but I made the same slip-up at the dining in, and I was accused because it was after having a drink, and I say you're quite sober. It's a pleasure and a distinct honor to speak to this group today. We've got a lot to be thankful for in this wing. One of the things that in particular we're thankful for is excellent training. An NCO preparatory course is the first PME course, if you will, that I think you have experienced in the Air Force, and it won't be the last. We're mighty proud of the Air Force's dedication to training. And why training? Why? Because training is probably the most valuable and gives us the most return for the dollars spent of anything we do in the United States. I would say that in the bio that Brian went on too long there about, quite a bit of it was in training. Okay? I remember that after I graduated from the academy, before I got in the academy, I spent a year in college at Louisiana State University. So I had about 5 years of college. I completed that, went to flying training for a year, and several more, about 6 more weeks to check out in the C-7. In Tennessee, I got over to Southeast Asia, and I was in qualification to be a fully qualified co-pilot. Okay? And I remember distinctly that it was December 1967, okay? A year and a half after I graduated from the academy. It was 18 months, actually 5.5 years from the day I entered the academy, 25 June 1962, until I was a fully qualified co-pilot in the C-7, and I felt like I was really earning my pay for the first time in the United States Air Force. So that's longer than many of you have served in the Air Force to date, and you're in your first school, and you've been working hard and doing a job. My point is how long it took me to get qualified, and how much time money the Air Force spends training. And it's well worth it. our country, the most valuable thing that we do is training and education. Nothing else gives us the same return to make a productive, hardworking citizen that benefits our nation and gives us the wherewithal to be a great nation as education and training. It doesn't mean we can't waste money on training. There certainly is, and probably is, waste in education and in training. But it's still the most valuable and beneficial thing we do, and it's the most beneficial thing we can do for you, is to give you training. Training to be an NCO is training for leadership. And why NCO leadership? Why do we need NCOs? Why do we need you to be leaders? Because the mission of the Air Force requires leadership at your level. We need you to be leaders. Back in the Civil War days, and for 100 years either side of that, when the job of the military was primarily to march in ranks, fire muskets on order, we had a very limited NCO rank structure. I honestly don't know exactly what it was. One or two, maybe a corporal and a sergeant. Maybe there was a senior sergeant. But a very limited